3, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Hey guys, thank you for coming back. This is Words Are Tough. My name is José Rodríguez, and I'm here with my co-host
David D. Okendo.
Yeah, it's been great so far doing these shows for you guys, and we want to listen to what our fans want to hear about, our listeners. And one of the things that was popping up is, have you guys had any odd jobs growing up?
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say that we've had our fair share.
I had a bunch of jobs, good and bad, and a lot, kind of, they're odd, they're weird. Some are great, since like my current job is wonderful, and some are just never again kind of situations.
One-shot deals.
Like one and done, like, oh, I hate this, and I leave. But I think my first job was actually, well, first of all, what my current job is, I'm an art teacher at a magnet school in Newark, New Jersey. That's what I currently do now to pay the bills. And wait, honestly, I don't know what you do.
Yeah, it's funny because
I really don't know what Jose does.
It's funny because actually, I haven't even said it, and I've done numerous podcasts since, and we've even done a "What Have You Been Up To" segment. I didn't even mention it.
No.
I'm a realtor, and I work for Halo Realty. That's my first and foremost occupation. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, aside from that, I work with a lot of companies doing marketing for them, running Facebook ad campaigns, Google ad campaigns, things of that nature. Just like, very timely thing to say, our new sponsor, Premier Rank Marketing. That's what, if some of you have been wondering what's in this cup, it's Premier Rank Marketing, our sponsor that makes the lights go on in this studio.
Thank you.
Special shout out. If you guys want to check them out, if you have a business or anything like that, reach out and we can connect you or go through their website. But yeah, that's something I do, marketing. And then last but not least, I've worked in the self-storage industry for over 10 years. I manage a property that I shall keep nameless. It's one of the only things.
Self-storage?
Yeah, self-storage facility. Yeah.
Nice.
And right now, that I will keep out of the because they have a very strict corporate policy. So
of not promoting?
Of my views do not necessarily correspond with the company's views.
Makes sense.
They look at people's social medias and stuff. And thank God my name is José Rodríguez, because they find a million other ones before they find mine.
Yeah. Has anyone mispronounced you? I mean, you have a very Hispanic name.
Yeah, it's the John Smith of Latinos.
Yeah, literally the John Smith. But has anyone ever mispronounced your name, like José?
Yeah,
Rodríguez?
I get a lot. Let's say more of like in the Asian countries, I get a lot of Jose. Jose, yeah, and it's pretty cool too. I'm like, you know what? Nice try, but no, that's not. It's Jose, and they're like, oh, Jose, okay.
But I can see in other languages how they can pronounce it that way.
Oh, for sure.
Because J, how do you get the H sound? But that's just the Spanish.
Yeah.
But when it comes to weird jobs, my first job was actually McDonald's, and the one and only job I quit.
Wow.
I actually started that job when I was 14 years old to pay a bill, which I will not say what that bill was. How did I acquire a bill at 14? Not going to tell you. But I had a bill to pay. My mom was like, you're paying this bill, and you're getting a job. I'm like, but I'm 14. She's like, I don't care. This is actually before the whole, working papers. Like, this is actually when you can actually have a job at 14 years old. Now it's like, I think 16. I don't know. I forget. We'll have students and they tell me like, I can't get a job. I'm 14 years old. I'm like, but I had a job. I was 14. But yeah, it was one of those jobs where I burned my arms several times the first month because I was the fry cook. And
they're going to put you on 14 on the fry cook.
For those people that want fresh French fries, I hate you. I hate you with a passion because... Because there's always that one person, and I don't want to say what demographic or age and or color they are. You know who you are, because they would say, how old are those fries? Like how long ago were they fried? And I'm like, like 20 minutes ago. But don't worry, they're fresh. They're like, no, I want fresh fries. And they're like, okay, well give us 10 minutes. and it's like they're scorching hot, boiling, and literally from like my elbows down to my hands, it was just because your arms are underneath these sort of like rays of like cancer beams, and like your arms get torched. It's terrible. Oof. But that was only for about a month.
Okay.
So 3 or 4 days a week for about a month, and we actually played this game called hockey, but it was with a frozen beef patty. We would play hockey with a frozen beef patty.
Wow.
And it wouldn't thaw for like 30 minutes. They were so like thick and hard. We would play hockey in the back while people like didn't show up. It was a very weird job. And I remember quitting. I didn't really quit. I just said, they said, hey, like you're on for tomorrow at like 2. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna come. And they're like, okay. And I just never came back.
Wow.
And that was my first and only job that I actually said I quit.
Days notice quit.
I can't. Yeah, I didn't even give 2 weeks notice. I just stopped showing up. It was bad, but I do think every person, young person, should work in like a service kind of job at least once. Not for a day, like, and I had this off for about a year, and for about, a few, like maybe 6 months, try working at a fast food restaurant, and you would, 1, not go to one ever again, and 2, if you do, respect the people that actually work there. Since working at McDonald's, that was more than 15 years ago, I've never ate at McDonald's since. Like, it's the worst food ever. Like, if you eat McDonald's, please stop. It's terrible for you.
Yeah.
I saw how the sausage was made. It's not good in any way.
You're very close to it. Yeah, I mean, I have a very similar experience, but it's not in, the food industry. One of my first jobs that was very odd was actually I worked at, one of my first jobs was working at Hollister.
Oh, I worked retail as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, which to put you in the mind frame, at that time I was like maybe 17. I was in like a bunch of bands at the time, so I had kind of like more of like a band look going on, which is very Hollister friendly, so that's what they kind of like. But me being a Latino guy, they still kept me in the back though, as per orders. Not to bring race into it.
I worked at Abercrombie, and that's a thing.
Yeah,
it's really messed up, but keep going.
Yeah, so they just kept me in the back. But you know what? All my friends were the managers there. So it was kind of cool. Like, we just sat back and we listened to, like, all the Glassjaw and, like, all the best albums that were out at the time. And, we just, like, really didn't do much. And I got paid for it. And it was pretty fun. But it was kind of weird because we were just, like, just take naps and, like, just
nap on the clothing that you just folded or should have folded an hour ago.
Yeah. And then, you know what? What's really weird? In the Garden State Plaza, they opened this new store called Rule. I don't know if you ever remember that. It was like an upscale Abercrombie.
Is it with like not a moose, because that's Abercrombie. I bought a few pieces, clothing pieces years ago. Doesn't fit me anymore. I just got big. Bigger.
Yeah, it was like
they run small.
If you take American Psycho and Abercrombie and just like mix them. And you get Rule. And it was RUEHL or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very nice quality stuff. Well, being that we were in this, Hollister store, they wanted to recruit, like good people from there. And then those were my friends. And then they brought us over. And meanwhile, this store was opening. We had an overnight shift. It was like 24 hours they were like working the store. Yeah. For no reason, just because I guess this Abercrombie company has money. And they just do whatever they want. When the trucks came for the deliveries, we just grabbed anything we wanted. And it was like the Wild West. Yeah, like they had like they brought like leather gloves with like I don't even wear leather gloves. I just grabbed a pair. They're like, take it. It was really the Wild West, and it was almost like how you see those commercials like the college parties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was.
Wait, there's commercial college parties?
No, like in the commercials for Abercrombie and stuff like that. Like they try to like portray like college kids and like whatever.
Back in the day, they actually had Abercrombie and Fitch commercials. I don't think anymore. But
yeah. I'm not sure anymore. I don't know, but that's pretty much was just their staff. It wasn't college kids. They just photographed their staff to having parties, and it was a weird. I mean, not to say weird, but it was an odd time of my life that was like, weird. It's not me, like.
Where I worked at Abercrombie, which is like the kids store, Abercrombie and Fitch, and I also worked at Banana Republic. And what I did appreciate about it, I'll stick with the positive for now. I understood the importance of like presentation. Like it was all about presenting. I mean, when we would like dress up the mannequins, you would have pins and paper clips and like things to like, paper to stuff into the bulge to get a good bulge. And like
there was bulge management.
Bulge. You had bulge management. You gotta like bulge. You literally put bulges into the crotches of the male mannequins because the bulge isn't big enough. I'm not joking. It really did. And the back, we would literally pin the back so like the silhouette was just like tight and nice, and like people were like, I want that, and I'm like, you can't actually have that because that's probably unwearable because it's like glued onto the mannequin so it stays still. But I actually got a retail job, and all three were the same. I just walked in. I've never walked into Abercrombie and Fitch until I worked there. Same with Banana Republic. Same with Abercrombie, the kids store. I just walked in, looked around. Someone said, "Hey, are you looking for a job?" And I'm like, "No." Are you hiring? They're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay." And I would fill out the paperwork, and the next week I was working there.
Wow. In all three stores, you said?
All three stores.
Wow.
And I was pretty much, one after the other. And I asked, why are you hiring me? Like, because you have the look. And I'm like, okay, sure. So I actually requested, can I work in the back? Because I was like, that's where the cool people are, because we can do whatever we want. And like, no, you're in the front of the store. And I'm like, but I don't want to be in the front of the store. And I was the person in the front of the store with like a fake plastic smile, greeting people. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And the worst things it's always the same demographic, just like the McDonald's people. Same person. I won't say who you are. White ladies. Pretty much white women. I'm sorry, white women. You're wonderful.
Shout out.
All the Karens out there. But it was always the same question. They would ask me, hey, do you think this will look good on my husband? And I'm like, ma'am, I don't know who your husband is. I don't know how they look like. I can't give you my opinion.
The husband that doesn't exist.
Yeah. And I told this to my manager, and they said, like, you're an idiot. Just give them anything. They'll just buy it. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, just tell them, yes, take this, this, and this, and always pick a large. And I'm like, okay, always pick the largest size. And because they're going to return it anyway. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, just give them anything. They'll buy it and return it later.
Tricks of the trade right there.
But I did enjoy it for how long it lasted, because you kind of see, all right, now I go to retail. If I go to retail stores, it's so rare at this point. You can kind of see, all right, this looks nice now, but when you go home and try it on again, the lighting is different. Your mirror is not as narrow and clean as it is in the store. The ambiance and the smells aren't the same.
Yeah. The extra oxygen isn't being pumped into from the.
Yeah, and we would have a bottle as big as like this pop socket here. And we would spray it every like 30 minutes to an hour, like everywhere. Is this good for us? Like, I don't know, but just make sure you spray it everywhere. And we would require to spray everywhere every like hour. And after an hour, 2 hours, you would stop smelling it. You just would be desensitized to that wretched smell.
I could still smell it.
Yeah. And I've never worn cologne ever again. Every time I have a job, it's always like, and never again did I do this. But I actually mistakenly took so much money from McDonald's, going back to my McDonald's. You know how there's like coupons? You can have a coupon and you can say deduct $1 or $2. There's actually, I don't know how it is now. This is like many years ago. There was like a coupon like button, which will deduct like $1 or $2 every time you pressed it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when you pressed it, you actually had to put a coupon into the register, and my friends will show up, and like usually all wrestling like teammates in off season meeting, and they're like, "Hey, Okendo, like, can we have all this?" It'll be like a $40 like bill, and I'm go like do 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 do, and it'll go down to like 40 to like $8, and they're like, "You're awesome!" Like, I know. And then after like a month of doing this,
they got the reports.
They're like, we keep getting these coupon codes, but there's no coupons in the like. They're like, and I'll just pretend like I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know, like, what? Like,
it's a good strategy.
Yeah, I just acted dumb. And they're like, this 14-year-old doesn't know what he's doing, so whatever. And I really didn't. And there's just been so many. And I would always tell, I had one student, I won't say your name, but you know who you are, and I know you're watching. Like, he graduated last year. He had one particular retail job that he refused to quit. I'm like, just quit your job. He's like, yeah, but if I quit, I won't find another job. I'm like, trust me, just quit your job and get another job. When you're this young, just every 6 months to a year, get a job and quit and then find another job. You just want to sort of build, not really your resume. I mean, that's also a thing, building a resume, but like just building just social skills, etiquette, knowing how to have a job and being able to adapt and build a skill. You acquire it, you move on to something else, as opposed to just sticking to one thing, you know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice for sure.
But I think some people would much rather stay in a position that they hate because it's familiar than to actually like change. Because change is actually much more, it's difficult to change, even in a really bad, sucky situation. Most people will stay there because it's what's familiar to them. They'll just stick to it. But one job that I got through a friend of a friend from my church at the time was working at a carnival.
Okay.
And I was a carny. I did this for 2 years.
Oh, shit.
In the summer. So this carnival would go from like Florida. They'll stay in the East Coast. They'll go from Florida up to like Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, like you went on the road.
No, I would stay in New Jersey or New York. So wherever they were in this, they'll go from Florida up to Boston. They'll just go each stop for like the whole summer.
Oh, okay.
And for like almost a month and a half, or even, I mean, not the whole summer, but from like the spring, like right around this time, like April, they'll start traveling up north up until like October, and they go back up and down. But when they were in New Jersey, I would like work with them up till they got to New York, and like once it got to like 2-hour drive, I stopped like helping out. But yeah. Like I would help. I actually have it listed here. The worst experience, best and worst experience was there was this tilt and twirl ride where it's like this sort of like almost like an egg shaped thing like this, but you sit in it and you would actually turn it and it would spin around.
Yeah.
And we would tell people, if you feel ill, do not jump on this ride. And they're like, oh no, I'm fine. Like, no, you just ate like a whole like funnel cake in front of me. You should not ride this ride. They're like, no, I'm fine. Every time they would throw up. Every time. And the way we cleaned it was they gave us like 2 gallons, like this big, like the Home Depot, like 5-gallon buckets, fill it with water, throw water inside this sort of like container that would spin around, dump it, and then that's it. That's how we cleaned it. And
pre-COVID.
This is obviously pre-COVID. This is many years ago. But I would ask them like, hey, this is not really sanitary. They're like, listen, kid, we need to this ride needs to keep going. We don't really care if it smells like barf. Like it needs to keep, like the show must go on. But they at one ride that was also the worst was it's not the Gravitron. The Gravitron is literally like this big spaceship looking thing that spins around. It's sort of enclosed. Mm-hmm. It was called, actually I have it written down here, the Roundup. and it's actually in Six Flags, and
it's a math ride. No, I'm kidding.
The roundup, where it's like the Gravitron, but there's no cover. It's open, and it, once you get into it, you put your back against the wall. It will spin. It will elevate up and then go almost perpendicular to the ground, or perpendicular. So that centrifugal force would keep your back into the wall, and like operating that ride and seeing how it's barely put together. Don't sue me. But it's sketchy, and I actually remember going to Six Flags with my students for like their senior year trip thing, not 2 years ago or so. And there's some rides I just refuse to go on, and they're like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "I'm good."
You saw how the sausage was made.
Yeah, no, not doing it. And I mean, obviously, I'm sure Six Flags are up to par. They're like, they're good. But the reason why I'm not mentioning the carnival I worked at, because there were some things I'm like, that's not really safe.
Yeah,
that's not safe at all.
I believe that.
And I'm not saying other theme parks are. I'm sure their standards are very different and better. And again,
no, they're not. No.
I'm hoping. But this is many moons ago, and I'm sure. But yeah, though I hear these sort of like horror stories of people getting hurt and stuff like that, and they're like, it's unbelievable. Like, no, it's believable because these rides are not safe. They are dangerous. But I would say this: the safest rides you can be on. Do you know what it is?
What?
Roller coasters.
Oh yeah,
they're the safest rides.
You think because they've been like tested for the safety so much?
Anything that spins,
yeah, it's
any spinning stuff, I avoid.
Yeah.
Spinning.
Like, it can go wrong at any time, and it's like, oh, it happens.
Yeah, the tilt and whirl. There's a video of a one tilt and whirl, you can say container that you sit in, just completely just flinging off like the track.
Oh my god.
Not safe at all. But the last thing I have to say about the carnival is after a while, like, they just said, just go do the stand, and I was in charge of like the squirt gun thing where you shoot it into the clown's
one of my
mouth.
personal faves.
Yeah. It's not a scam, but as in like, it's not a scam as in like, whoever actually wins does win, but the amount of money that you would pay to play the game completely surpasses the prize you get when you win.
Oh yeah.
And it's like literally for example, there's a way of doing it. Like, hey, if there's 2 or 3 people, you get, this kind of prize. If there's like 10 people, you get this prize. If there's 30 people, you get that prize. The more people you get, the higher the prizes. But it might be $2 or $3 or $4 just to play, maybe $5. But the actual prize you get is like 50 cents or $1. That's the scam. It's like, there was one. I've been talking for a whole long time, but there was one guy that his kid like really wanted to win like a prize, and the dad just kept losing. And I'm like, listen, dude, just give me like $3 and I'll just give you the prize. Because he kept playing it, and his kids are crying, and like,
you just missed a shot, and I'll be like, oh my god, you won.
Yeah. And
just give him the prize.
I just said, just give me $3 and I'll just give you like. And that actually almost got me fired.
Oh,
almost. That
how did they find that out? They just, like, somebody spotted you? Or?
Yeah, they saw me exchange money. And I'm like, but I put it into I didn't keep the money. It's $3.
Yeah.
I gave it back to you guys. Like, yeah, but it's just not how you do business. Like,
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about the scam, how like the prize isn't worth. A side note, my girlfriend's friend, we recently donated to her son's fundraiser. He was doing a fundraiser. He's a part of this like leadership school academy, and great stuff. Of course, donate right away. Good kid. But I'm talking to my girlfriend. She goes, yeah, the goal is $360, and we donated, and we're looking at the goal. He's almost at the goal. And then she's like, yeah, and if he hits $1,800, he wins a Nintendo Switch, and I'm like, I'll fucking buy him a Switch. I'm like, but
Wait,
again,
how much is a Switch?
a Switch is like
time?
$199. So I'm like, I guess it's just like
So
a side note, like, you know, like just in case, but like, you know, bump up your incentives a little bit, please.
Yeah,
Two Switches in a live stream
sense.
or something.
Give him a TV.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sound system, everything. Like,
Yeah.
One Switch. Like, that's ridiculous.
Do you know what? I think they just know that the kid will be like, I want the Switch to the parents, you know, and then they'll just really, the parents will try hard to get them the Switch. You know?
I mean, that does remind me of like when I was supposed to sell candy. It's not really a job. I sell candy for school, for fundraiser school, and I would, before even getting home with this box of candy, I would already eaten like 3 or 4 Snickers.
So you already had the
Yeah,
whole.
yeah. Well, I was like, there's supposed to be like 10 Snickers in here, but there's 7. I'm like, oh, I ate 3. They're like, are you gonna pay for it? I'm like, I'm 7, like, or I'm 8 years old.
Bro,
that's the worst to trust like 8-year-olds with a box of candy.
Yeah, definitely. And then like fucking, you know, like I was about to throw a name out there, but I'm not gonna throw a name. But you know, a hypothetical name, Billy, you know, said he would give you back money and took 10 candies. You know what I mean? Like, and then now now you're chasing Billy down, and your mom's got to call Billy's mom.
Yeah, like you learn. So, I mean, I don't know what schools are thinking. The school I work at doesn't do that anymore. It's all pre-order.
Yeah, the reason I got excited and I said bro before, do you remember those little, they were like little bars and they were like 4 pieces. It was like America's Finest Chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those? And they were like
they
everywhere.
were really good.
Bro, that was like some mafia shit, first off.
Was it like gold, like aluminum?
No, it was like silver tips, and it was like white wrapper, and then they had like the regular, they had the peanuts in them.
Yeah.
Bro, they were everywhere. They were like, I don't know if it was like the Gambino family. I don't know what's going on, because they didn't even have brands on it. It just said America's Finest.
There wasn't even nutritional like label on it.
Nah, it was just a cardboard white box filled with little bars.
Is that just a New Jersey, Bergen County thing?
It might be.
That might just be a Bergen County thing.
Next episode.
Bergen County, when it comes, like, if you want to talk about stereotypical, like, New Jersey, you know, that's Bergen County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. Bergen County. I think, like, this North Jersey area, like, Bergen County.
Even parts of Passaic.
Yeah, Essex and Passaic County. And then there's, like, Hudson County.
Hudson, yeah.
Because it's right near Staten Island. I mean, not Staten Island. Like, right by, like, Brooklyn, you know, Jersey City.
Yeah. South Jersey, where you see farms, that's not really. I mean, that's New Jersey. That's just a different type of New Jersey. New Jersey is literally like split into 3s.
Let me tell you though, I've been spending a little time in Central Jersey recently due to real estate and due to some other extenuating circumstances.
Piscataway?
I would say more like
even for the south?
Central, but like still Eastern, like let's say like Union, Elizabeth, South Amboy.
Okay.
You know, it's a little south, about an hour, but there's really mean people down there. And like, and I thought we were mean up here,
like
and that's they're just like on another level. Like, it's not even like you're like, yeah, we get it, you're mean. I could be mean too, but it's like their mean is like it's just on. Like the mean is on. You know what I mean? Like in North Jersey, like you get a mean if like you kind of deserve it. You know, you cut me off, you're gonna get some
so
Jersey at you.
The meanness, angriness fits the situation. It's like, okay, well, yeah, of course you would react angry because I just did something that you would be angry about. But
yeah,
like
I think North Jersey,
angry,
you get like 0 to 100 quick. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah, you get 0 to 100 quick, but Central Jersey, you're just like at 100, but you're not moving fast at all. You know what I mean? Like you're just angry. You're just angry. You're going nowhere, but you're angry as hell, and that's like it's an experience I've just been having. You know, and
are the police equally as angry?
To be honest, I have not seen much police in my times down there. They don't want anything to do with anything. I think like they.
Yeah. Well, the more dense the population, the more dense the police presence, I think.
Yeah.
I get stopped all the time. I've gotten stopped many times, but because my sibling is also a police officer and I look a lot like him, and I have a family gold card. Anytime I get stopped, I just show them my ID and my family gold card, and they're like, "Oh, you're." Nice. I won't say my brother's name. I don't think I'm allowed to say his name, but you're so and so's brother. Like, yeah, like you look just like him. I'm like, I know, I'm his brother. And they're like, "Oh, well, tell him said hi." All right. And like anyway, fix your whatever. Like it's like your registration is expired, or it's always something small. Like and I'm like, okay, cool, bye. What's your name? Oh, Pete. All right, Pete. Like, it's like I know there's some terrible. I don't want to get into the whole police issue, but
you're like, all right, Pete.
All right, Pete. Be cool, man. But yeah, I mean, obviously, there's been for many years problematic police issues, but I don't want to get. I want to keep this.
It's a new episode.
I want to keep this episode very loose, but I mean, it's not technically a job, but did you know that when cops can't just give you a sobriety test, they have to actually get tested to do a sobriety test?
So it's like you mean like a certification?
Yeah.
Okay.
They need to be certified to do it. So sometimes some cops can't because they're not certified to. So they might call another cop to do it for them. So that's why sometimes you'll see a cop like call another cop.
It buys you a little time though.
It buys a person more time, and they kind of want to give you time.
Yeah, I'd be on the side of the road just like huffing and puffing like as hard as I can.
Mind you, and this is based on the cops that I do know. I've known of several cops are in jiu-jitsu, and family members are cops. All the cops
sorry.
Don't. Yeah.
I'm just laughing because I was just picturing like just like passing out from like trying to breathe so hard by the time the cops coming on the way. Sorry.
Just hyperventilating.
Yeah.
Like, are you okay, sir? Like
just pass out.
Just lean back, just eyes roll back, and
sorry.
But a lot of cops don't like. They just want to. They don't want to bring you. A lot of times, they don't want to bring you in. They just want to give you a ticket and move on. But like, I just noticed when you're just more. I mean, again, this is my experience. This can be people have different experiences, but with cops. But when I'm honest with them, usually they just leave me alone. But then again, I do have a brother that is a cop, and family members are lieutenants, and so there I do have that to help me out. But I had a job where in one previous episode I said I actually entered a police station sober and I left drunk.
I know, yeah, that is a story.
So I tell it to people and they're like, what? And I hook them with that, introduction. But I might just talk a lot for a second, but this might take about 10 minutes to explain.
Okay.
But when I came back from London, I studied abroad from London, and I built up a drinking habit while living in London for about a month and a half. Because that's all you really do after class. You just go to a nearby pub and drink a few. So I'm thinking, and mind you, it's mostly just like cider, which is fairly light. It's not that heavy, and Blue Moons. So when I came back, my brother was like, hey, like, I got to get tested, and a bunch of people need to get tested, but we need the volunteers to actually be drunk. So we went to this county police station. I forgot where. I think somewhere in Ramsey. I think I'm allowed to say that. But anyway, trying to figure out, am I allowed to say this? So it's completely legal. But my brother said, hey, like, what beverages do you like? He's like, oh, do you have any ciders? Like, oh, I don't really know what we might get, but what about something else? What if I can't find cider? Like, oh, Blue Moons. Mind you, Blue Moons are way thicker and higher percent in alcohol than ciders, but
yeah.
So the rule was you can't be drunk going in. You'd be completely sober. So they give us a little breathalyzer test. You're 0. One guy who volunteered came in with alcohol in the system, and they said we need to get you back to 0. So you can actually do it. So it's maybe 40 to 50 different cops, and I'm sitting there in this sort of big classroom of 40 to 50 different cops. I'm in front with 10 other volunteers. I'm the only civilian. The volunteers are also cops.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the only civilian there, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? They're like, okay, well, we're gonna get these volunteers, and they moved us to another. And they had their own sort of prepping, testing beforehand. So I was in another room just getting drunk. They'll give me a beer. I would drink it. I had an hour. They'll give me a beer. They drink it. They'll jot down when I drank it. and then they'll give me another beer. I'll drink it, and I think I had 8 Blue Moons in an hour.
Wow.
And they had a rule though, so that's more than one every 10 minutes. So they had a rule though. There's like, if you purge, if you throw up, you gotta clean it. So halfway through, you know where this is going. Halfway through number 8, I just have like this sort of like 100-yard stare, and they're like, and one guy at the end of the table, he's like, oh, he's gonna go, and I just get up and I just run to the bathroom. I just stopped talking. I was like, I'm just gonna go, and I ran. I missed the toilet.
Oh no!
I was like a foot before, like in front of the toilet. I had an omelet that morning.
Ooh.
So omelet mixed. This is a nice visual. Omelet mixed with like
peppers.
Yeah, it's sausage and all that. Yeah, that's what an omelet is.
Is it the Western
mixed with alcohol and all that? Didn't look too good. It didn't look too good. And I'm like, oh no! I was just like, just inebriated, just trying to clean myself up. And eventually, someone actually helped me. The drunk guy that came in drunk, he actually helped. He's like, hey, are you good, guy? He's like, I don't know. I was in the fetal hugging toilet position. that position where you're just hugging the toilet like for dear life. He's like, hey man, we gotta go to the to the gym to get that big gymnasium to get tested. And I'm like, okay, so mind you, and again, the laws might be different by this point, but like usually by the time a cop gives you a breathalyzer, they know for the most part if you're drunk or not.
Yeah.
They just need documentation to just know for sure that you're drunk.
For court.
Yeah. So don't ever get a breathalyzer test, because at that point you're definitely shooting yourself in the foot, hypothetically.
But if you deny it, it automatically counts as a failed test, right?
I don't know.
I think they say that, but you can get a lawyer that knows the loopholes.
You can say no to a breathalyzer test because once you take it, that's like proof, black and white proof that you were indeed drunk or not drunk.
Yeah.
So if you take it, you better be sure that you're not drunk.
But the thing is, you can be under the limit and still get brought in.
So this is where my story is interesting. So I get tested by like 12 different cops. The head teacher, professor, officer doing the testing, he did it for me, so he knew my level. No one else taking the test knew my levels. I get tested by 12 different cops. I was wearing boots at the time, and I asked, can I take off my boots? Is that okay? Because I was so drunk, it felt like I was wearing stilettos. It was really bad. And even though I was the only one that was like inebriated, I was the only one that actually threw up. However, I was also the only one that actually was below the limit.
Wow.
And everyone else...
You think it because of London
Because I was a lightweight. Because I was a lightweight.
Oh.
I was significantly smaller than everyone else. And I thought my drinking habit was enough. Like, when I went to London to drank a bit.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, okay, I can handle my alcohol. I still can't handle my alcohol.
Oh, okay. I thought because you said you were under the limit, right?
I was under the limit. So I was legally not drunk.
Damn.
If I was in a car.
But you think it was due to the purge?
No, that doesn't really change much. They said that doesn't really, if you throw up, that doesn't really it's in your system. It's like liver and I'm not a scientist or doctor, but I don't think throwing up decreases your alcohol level.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't believe so. But I, again, drank 8 Blue Moons within like 60 minutes. So before I vomited.
You blew my mind. I was trying to figure out how you got into the police station not drunk. And that's the perfect reason.
I'm going to finish up the story. Yeah. So to give you context, this was like 9:30, 10 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my God.
I'm inebriated at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Your next 2 days are shot.
Yeah. So my weekend was terrible. So my brother drove me home. He's like, are you going to be okay? I'm like, and then he's like, do you want the Blue Moon? I'm like, I didn't know. Because he bought all the Blue Moons.
Yeah.
And I didn't see a Blue Moon for like months after that. But like, I went home. I fell asleep. I woke up around like 7 p.m. at night with a hangover. And I'm like, it's 7 p.m. and I have a hangover. It was like, this is the worst feeling ever. It didn't make sense because most of the time you get a hangover in the morning and you have the whole day to kind of like fix yourself. This was like, no. And my mom was like, do you want soup? What do you need? Like, I don't know. I'm in pain. Like, and I was like that for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And they didn't drink till like my brother's wedding. I think he was married. No, yeah. Later on, then I drank.
You still had PTSD when you took a sip.
Yeah,
you like look at him, you're like, oh.
I know there's a long story, but that's how I actually. And it was technically a job because it's a volunteer job. I volunteered my liver to the police station, but yeah, that's how I actually ended up walking into a police station sober and leaving drunk.
That is great. And you know what it reminds me of? I know when we did the love-hate episode previously, we said that, you know, this might be something we're doing again. One of my things on my list for love-hate was day drinking. So, you know, this that falls right in line because you said it was 10 a.m. you were drinking.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I mean, it's a really...
What do you drink during the day?
I just mean, like, you know, when you go, like, for people go to, like, happy hour.
Like
yeah,
like that.
Not at night, you know, drinking not at night. Because I have a story about day drinking, but you know what? We'll save that for the next love-hate because...
we could.
Yeah.
But I've seen... I worked at Hell's Kitchen, not in New York. There's one in Newark. There's a
Hell's Kitchen Lounge.
A lounge in Newark.
Yeah. That's where I met my girlfriend, actually.
That's cool.
Yeah.
A small world. But there were times when I would surf. It was like, you know, Sunday brunch, mimosas. And there were people at 11 a.m. They're like, I have a mimosa. Okay, here you go. Not a problem. 3, 4, 5. I'm like, it's like noon. And this girl just had 7 mimosas. Like, what? Are you okay? And I mean, I don't say, are you okay? But it's kind of like, and to check her, you know.
Yeah.
And they're outside.
Dude, could I have your emergency contact real quick?
See,
there is one thing to be said about having the hair of the dog, though. So, like, if she got really wasted last night.
The hair of the dog?
Yeah. Do you know? You don't know what that is?
I have no clue what that is.
Hair of the dog is when you have a drink the day after you had a heavy drinking night.
Oh,
when you have it takes the hangover off. It takes the edge.
I didn't know that was like the name of it.
It's called I think there's like a longer version, like taking the hair of the dog or something like that. But hair of the dog is normal. Like people would recognize what you're saying. I'm sorry, I'm alcoholic here, but I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, that's what they call it.
Yeah, but it was that was a
5 in the morning, like 5 of them in the morning though. That's a lot. Yeah.
If I check 5 or 6, maybe 7 before noon.
You're running out of celery,
and we open at 11. So that's a lot. And no, I remember they had like, I don't know if they still do, but they actually have like burlesque dancers on certain nights. And it was interesting because I was like the stock person, and I would restock the kegs and all the alcohol. I never was a server. I just made sure I maintained everything in the back. So that dream of working in the back that I couldn't get at retail, I got into that in the bar. And they would dress downstairs, like in the basement where I would like stock everything. And they're like, "You're cute." And I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" And this is when I didn't have, I still don't have swag. I was just like, "Hi." They're like, "You're cute, come here." I'm like, "I need to tap this keg. I'm sorry." I was so, burlesque dancers, I won't say the word intimidate, but there is a sort of empowerment that burlesque dancers have.
Definitely.
And I know a few, and they're cool, but I can't put my finger on that thing. And I'm like, you have this thing where you're using your, I guess you can say, sexuality to your favor. I don't know how you're doing it. How? Tell me your power. It's a very bizarre thing, and I guess that's a whole different topic. But yeah, speaking to burlesque dancers is a pretty cool. I guess it's these individuals that sort of just embraced, like they kind of lean into their sexuality and or their performance, and they're not like ashamed of it, but in a respectful way. That's not like I don't know. I can't. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but it's an interesting sort of profession that it's like, wow, I respect that. And
Yeah,
you know,
I love burlesque dancers too.
yeah, I've seen in London. I've seen them in London, in France, in New York, and in New Jersey. I think the best I've seen was probably in France.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because
Yeah.
that whole look,
That's
you know.
the Moulin Rouge kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, it is in French. The
Yeah.
word.
There you go.
But most of my burlesque that I've experienced was in Brooklyn. And it was a
Okay.
great time. Shout out to Nurse Betty's. It's no longer there. It is now
Nurse
like
Betty's.
it's now like a 8-story like duplex condominium.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, we spent so many good times there through the summers in Brooklyn with some good friends. With that like watermelon IPA beer they had there on tap, their
Yeah.
copper taps. It was an awesome time, and yeah, no, burlesque is for the people.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
also
Love
drag as well. Like, I know we're looking at the time now, but last thing I want to say is like I've met so many drag queens when I was in London, and I know I met a few in New York, but there's one drag queen I met at a show, and they're like, "Oh, where are you guys from?" We're like, "New Jersey." They're like, "Is that like New York?" Like, yeah, kind of like New York. And later on, I said, "Can I be your friend?" I literally walked up to this drag queen. I said, "Can I be your friend?" Because there's, I don't know, like I guess she, when they're performing, they're she. I was like, I don't know, there's some energy, like, hey, this energy I kind of want in my life. So they gave me their phone number, and we like connected via Instagram, and we're still friends on. So I never met them ever again. I've never seen them because they live in the UK. But I don't know. There's just some people where like, oh, I like this persona, vibe, energy, um, person. I think I like. It's positive. This is sort of empowerment thing. I don't know. I'm trying to find my words. I can't seem to find it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like to be honest, one of my best birthdays, I got picked up, and it was like one of those weird birthdays that's like on a Thursday, you know, and like you're like got plans for the weekend.
Okay.
And one of my friends picked me up. She's like, "We're going to the city right now," and I get in the car, I get in the back seat. You know, very reckless. I was maybe like 23, I think. She had some, what's it called, SoCo. Also very dated liquor.
Okay, yeah,
Southern
yeah,
Comfort.
yeah,
Southern Comfort.
yeah.
And lime. She had the whole SoCo lime thing going in her car.
Wow.
Don't advise it. Don't drink and drive.
Mm-mm.
Don't, you know,
Not
go
good.
to the city on drugs.
Don't
But
do that.
don't do any of that. But I didn't know where we were going. She's like, it's a surprise and you can't know. We're going through the bridge, whatever. So by the time we get to where we're going, it's already like a party already in the car. You know what I mean? We're listening to Brand New the whole way there. Great time. And the driver's not drunk. Just so everyone knows,
Good.
the driver's not drunk.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
no.
thing.
The
I
driver
was
is
like-
not drinking, not on drugs. He was the designated driver. We were the degenerates that night. So we show up, and we go inside, and we're just having the time of our lives. The music was awesome, and I just noticed there's a lot of dudes. And then at that time, Vine was still a thing. You know, Vine was still a thing. So I'm like doing Vines all day, like, yeah, this is awesome. And, you know, one of my favorite songs came on. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. Do a Vine. Then the next morning, I wake up at like 1 p.m., as you do after a night like that. And my sister's like, where were you last night? And I'm like, what? I don't know. My friends took me out for my birthday. And, you know, they brought me to a drag bar.
Okay.
But, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Was it
Obviously,
called
had a
Porky's?
great time. I'm not sure the name. I got to find
I
out.
went to a gay/drag bar, and I was called Porky's after the movie Porky's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it was hilarious. I looked back at the Vines from that night, and I'm like, how did I not know? You know, and not that I cared. Like, obviously, I had a great time, and, you know, we
It's
just
good
stuck
vibe.
to, like,
it's good vibe.
our friend
It's good
group
energy.
and
It's
met
like-
cool people outside smoking cigarettes, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when I looked at the Vines, I was like, whoa, that's where I was at. That's where I was at that night. But it's a great time, you know. And yeah, I have mad respect for the drag community as well. You know,
Those are cool. I mean, I never had that job, nor will I ever have that job. It's just not my thing. But that's an interesting job to have.
yeah, they're almost like they kind of remind me of like almost like superheroes, you know what I mean? Like they have like a lot of times because of their coming out, they have to have like separate business lives. You know, a lot of them are very successful people. They have to keep it separate. Yeah. Some don't. Some like to keep it, you know, but you know, it's drastic changes in their life from day to night. I
need to bring my partner here to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race then, because she can really talk about drag.
Oh, she watches the show? Oh, nice.
Religiously. I might just bring her just to talk about
we'll have a drag
I don't know.
episode.
She'll replace me and just talk to you. I'll just be in the corner. But yeah, I honestly had way more stories. But what I like about this sort of format is that we have a topic and we go sprout from there, and wherever it takes us.
But now we're kind of sticking to it, like.
No, we are.
Yeah, they're like themed shows.
But I like it though. It's good.
Yeah, it's been going. It's been going pretty good with the themes. I think, you know what? There's some odd jobs I didn't get to. So.
Me neither. So this is gonna be again another reoccurring thing. But I will say this though, I did get I told this to Jose, but I did get a few questions from a few Instagram people. And we were going to talk about or answer the questions. However, I just didn't think enough about when I answer someone's questions, I want to make sure I do my due diligence to answer respectfully and honestly and be helpful and not, you know. So originally I wanted to talk about or answer some of these. I don't call them fan questions, but people that watch the podcast and have questions. I just really need to like sit down and like think about, okay, how do I really want to answer this question and not just be like, oh, just whatever. So so if I didn't answer any of your questions, it's because I really want to like sit down, even do some research to make sure that what I'm putting out there is helpful and accurate.
And because the questions were so good.
And they're really good questions.
Yeah. We were thinking and we were just like sitting there, we're like, damn. Like, you know, it's more like we want to put out, make sure like, you know, what we want to say is we dot our I's and cross our T's. You know what I mean? Like we want to really say, because they're important questions that, you know, I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear perspectives on. So yeah, so we have that to look forward to. You know what? Maybe it's an interesting thing. We could do an episode where we answer those questions, then revisit them like a time later and be like...
And there are a lot. There's like 12, maybe 15 different questions from several people. So
a lot of like psychology and like more like, you know, topical like...
mental health.
Social issues, current social issues.
Why a dating question? I don't know why, because I'm terrible at dating. And just a lot of different things, and even music and poetry and art and teaching. There's a lot, and just on one of these topics, you can easily talk for 3 or 4 hours, and just like art or music easily.
Yeah. And we appreciate the questions. They're making us look forward to future episodes and where the episodes can take us to. You know. Our ideas that we're going to be putting out there become more conscious to ourselves. You know, we're really putting some work in on those, and we appreciate that. So any comments you guys have, make sure to leave them in the comments or, you know, send us DMs. Please subscribe and click that notification bell. I know I don't want to sound like the YouTube guy, but, you know, it really does help out the channel. Helps. Yeah, and, you know, we're having a lot of fun with these episodes, so hopefully you guys are enjoying them. Thank you for joining us again for this episode. My name is Jose Rodríguez.
David Diokendo.
And these are words that are tough.
Words are tough.
Words are tough, but these words were tough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.